And I can't think of any, besides Urban, better guest to kick off our Memorial Day show than a true patriot and hero who's done so much to serve the country and continues to serve the military community, and that's Chief Sajnog, who's a retired Navy SEAL and also best-selling book author. And Chris, it's such a privilege to me to have 2 times in the same week the chance to talk to you on the radio. So I was a little selfish having you back on the show this week since you were on my show Friday. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Hey, did you have a great Memorial Day? What'd you do? What does a retired Navy SEAL do to celebrate Memorial Day?
I spent it with my family because, as you were saying, Veterans Day is, the day I get to celebrate myself. And Memorial Day is for those that, wrote the same check that I did, but, unfortunately had to cash theirs in. So I spent it with my kids, and we had a barbecue.
Yeah.
In the rain, unfortunately, but it was fun.
Well, the rain ain't going to stop a SEAL from having a barbecue, right? I mean, come on now.
I had enough time being wet and cold. So
yeah,
although we can handle it, most people think that we don't feel cold. We do. We just don't let it ruin our day.
Yeah, I hear you. So there has been so much new awareness brought to the sniper community recently, and it's just such a fascinating specialty within the SEALs. But on Memorial Day, a lot of times people think about the foot soldiers, and they think about the Army, and they think about the Marines, and they tend to forget how many we lose in the special operations community, correct?
Oh, definitely. But, to be honest, there's a lot of great charities out there, such as the one I'm involved in, the Navy SEALs Fund. And, there's been a lot of exposure for it lately, and it's really been good.
Tell us a little bit about Navy SEALs Fund. What do you do?
I'm on the board of directors for the fund, and it's a 503c charity. And really what we do is we help out anybody who's been involved with naval special warfare and the SEALs. And we help their families for our fallen brothers. We help them, whether they're active or retired. And really what we are is kind of a quick stopgap, because there's a lot of great larger funds out there and charities, but there's a lot of red tape that comes with being as big as they are. So a lot of families need money like today, hey, I'm going to get kicked out of my house tomorrow if I can't pay my rent. So we're able to do that. We're able to, get money from donors and move that money quickly to whoever needs it.
That's great. So how long have you been working with us?
I've been with the fund for 3 years now. And the fund's been around for, 4 or 5 years.
How do you guys go about raising funds?
Oh, we do charity events. We've got a golf tournament that we started annually. Got one coming up this September here in San Diego. Occasionally, I will run shooting ranges. So I'll, take donations to run a range, which is usually pretty hard to do. I charge these $5,000 a day for private clients. So we raise a lot of money that way. And then we have our website, the NavySealsFund.org, where people can donate there.
Well, I think it's wonderful because there's a lot of nonprofits in San Diego. I don't think we've met any that really provide that kind of stopgap financial help to the families. And one of the things that the movie American Sniper did, Chris, was it brought awareness to people in the community as to the families and the struggles that they go through and just in family life in general.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And, one thing with charities I just want to mention, there's, unfortunately some charities you hear about that, maybe their CEOs are getting paid a little bit more than they should, or even especially with the special operations community, there's a lot of fake charities out there. So, I just ask people, even if they're not going to donate to the Navy SEALs Fund, at least check the background of, whatever fund or charity you're looking at donating to. But we are 100% nonprofit. Nobody on the board takes a single penny. It all goes directly to donors. or to the people in need from our donors.
That's great. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here at KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170, theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, and our guest is Mr. Chris Sajnog. So Chris, I think it would benefit everybody for our listeners to hear a little bit more about your background. We're talking about all the great stuff that you're doing today, which is wonderful. But for somebody who's given so much to our country, maybe our listeners should hear a little bit more about your background. How did you get started with all the Navy SEALs?
Well, I joined the Navy in 1989, and to be honest, I did it just because I needed a place to live and some food to eat. But once I was in, I worked and supported the SEALs, and I got to know them, and I liked what they did. So I ended up going to BUD/S, and so I became a SEAL in '94. And since that time, I was, I was on SEAL Team 2 and a couple other different commands. And during that time, I was a sniper instructor. I was lucky enough to get hand-selected to write the curriculum for the SEAL Sniper program when I was in. And quick story, if
Great.
we have
Love
time,
it.
about why I got out. But I'd come back from one of my deployments, my last deployment, and one of my sons, he was, I think, 3 or 4 at the time. He wouldn't eat for like 2 weeks, and people would, we'd ask him like, hey, buddy, you got to eat, you're going to be sick, why aren't you eating? And finally he said, well, if I eat, I'll grow up. If I grow up, I'll become a daddy. And if I become a daddy, I'll have to leave my family.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I grew up without a dad, and, I decided right there I wasn't going to do that to my boys, so that's, I put in my papers to retire. And, it's worked out really well. I started Center Mass Group, and I teach mostly, law enforcement and civilians who pretty much don't have access to really high-end training. A lot of them hardly any training at all. So, I'm kind of filling that gap through books and videos and my blog. So
yeah, and you are a best-selling author.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so when I first started Center Mass Group, and I was training law enforcement and military, and I was hearing from a lot of civilians and other law enforcement agencies and people from outside of, California who wanted me to train them, because I had a blog started and I was putting out little articles. So, to help them out, I really have a passion for training and providing good training. So I wrote How to Shoot Like a Navy SEAL and put it up on Amazon, and it quickly went to #1 for instructional shooting books. And it's actually stayed there pretty consistent since that time. So it's been about 1.5 years. And from that, I got a 4-book deal with a publisher. And that next book, Navy SEAL Shooting, should be coming out later this summer.
Awesome.
Great.
Now, I know you do a lot of work with law enforcement and, first responders, but it could help somebody like me, because people started joking on Facebook Friday night after they heard you that, I can't even keep my eyes open when I pull the trigger. What tip can you give me right now to help me be a better shooter, to shoot like a Navy SEAL?
Well, the biggest thing I can tell you is that, the way people have traditionally been taught to shoot is kind of, not kind of flawed, it's flawed. It's messed up. People have taken what good shooters have done who have been shooting for a long time and said, oh, I want to learn what he does. And that shooter would say, okay, well, this is how I stand. This is how I hold the gun. This is, how I pull the trigger. Well, they're missing the whole point about learning something. And that's why I came up with a free ebook that I offer. It's called The New Rules of Marksmanship, and it teaches you how to learn. So my very first piece of advice would be to go to centermassgroup.com and download that.
Okay.
And basically what you're going to get there is you're going to learn, hey, you need to train your mind first, through meditation and visualization, because we're learning more and more. I'm sure you've, read or probably even reported about a lot of the studies they're doing recently, how meditation can, transform your life. And, same with visualization. If you look at other sports outside of shooting, everybody knows that, for Michael Jordan to make as many shots as he made, he visualized every day making those shots.
Is that what snipers do? Because I know, like in the movie, you can see him trying to get to like a calm, quiet place. Is that what you guys do? You've written the book for the Navy SEALs on sniper training. Is that a part of the training in terms of quieting the mind? How do you train guys to do that? That is exactly what we do and what we're taught to do. And, to be able to do that, just like anything else, is you need to practice. Okay.
And practice is really as simple as sitting in a quiet place and just thinking about your breathing.
Okay.
And you'll have many distractions in your mind, especially when you start, but after, a couple of weeks or a month, you'll really notice some pretty weird things happening as your mind begins to open up and relax and become calm. And when your mind's calm like that, it allows you to take in the information that you need to accomplish your mission, or, for you just to be able to, aim at the target and pull the trigger and hit it. So, yeah, definitely training the mind is number one. And, number two is coming up with a plan. So many people go, I want to shoot better. Let me go to the range, grab a gun, and bang, it scared me. Yeah. And if you start doing that, like anytime you learn anything, you're developing a neural pathway. Mm-hmm. So if I just filmed a video about this for a friend of mine, but, the flinch, you're anticipating when you shoot that it goes bang and the gun goes down. Yeah. Well, you've trained yourself to do that because you created a neural pathway that every time the gun goes off, you're going to do that. So what you got to do is go back to dry weapons training, or most people call it dry fire, and just practice lining up the sights, relaxing, pressing the trigger without it going bang, without any stress.
Gotcha.
Repeatedly until you create a stronger neural pathway that doesn't have a flinch in it.
And I need to do that before I got a bad guy at my front door.
We're all different. We have a left eye and a right eye on shooting, and a lot of right-handed people shoot left-handed. We shoot differently out of each eye.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we're running a little bit short on time. I got one last question for you, Chris. How did you learn about all those survival training skills that you got there, the sniper for all the sniper survival training? How did that come about? How did you get there?
How did I get to sniper school?
Well, sniper school. How did you really maximize on the survival training skills that you have?
Because the sniper has to do more than just look through the sights and shoot accurately. Yeah. They got to get in through the bad areas, through all the bad guys. They got to stay there a while by themselves and get out. Yeah, tell everybody about that.
Yeah, one of the biggest kind of fallacies that I hear from a lot of people is, they find out I'm a sniper and they think, how many people did you kill, or how do you do this? Everything has to do with shooting. And in reality, and I can tell you because I ran the course for several years, what you learn about shooting is really minuscule compared to everything else you learn, all your different field craft, stalking and evading and movement and information, intel gathering. That's really what snipers do. And, occasionally we do work as a force multiplier and need to take some critical shots. But, squeezing the trigger, I can teach anybody to do that pretty quickly, especially with the weapons, that we have. It's definitely all the other stuff that goes into it.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, two things. One, I just want to thank you for your service to our country. You are one of our amazing heroes, and the other is just thanks for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Barry.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Okay, you are listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM 1170, theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
We were singing bye, bye.